minutes left till free agency starts for the 2023-2024 NBA season for the upcoming season. So free agency is about to start. So for the next 10 minutes, we're just going to chill. I'm just going to talk about some small things, just like get ready for the stream when it pretty much really starts at 6. And then if there's any type of like issues or anything like that, connectivity issues, we can fix those in the next 10 minutes. All right. So there is actually just a notification that Draymond Green is expected to land a 4-year, $100 million type deal from the Warriors. So that's something that I thought was pretty interesting because Draymond was like in the what's it called? The Blazers wanted Draymond. The Warriors obviously want him back. Yes, there were some issues with Jordan Poole, but now Jordan Poole is kind of gone from the team. So it's interesting. I think the $25 million range for 4 years is a bit too much, but in today's market, I guess it is justified. But Draymond is a great player. He is very important to the Warriors, which is another reason why they're going to pay him this type of contract because they know how valuable he is to that team. Cool. Just getting ready. Joe Harris, Nets trade. I'm pretty sure the Nets traded a couple of second round picks and Joe Harris to the Pistons. Just a salary dump deal, and the Pistons get some seconds in return. However, the Nets do this deal because they want more salary cap because Joe Harris is on like a $19 million deal. So yeah, just a salary, just a what's it called? Salary dump by the Nets in that trade where they just pick up more salary and Joe Harris. I mean, the Pistons are cool picking up his contract. Um, yeah. So Draymond Green expected to sign that 4-year deal. I think it's valid. They're honoring his loyalty, but also he wants to win. And I think the Warriors team is new and different with Chris Paul there rather than Jordan Poole. Brings more experience to say nonetheless. They're going to be a more uptight squad. I mean, not saying that they already aren't, but yeah. Anything else? Really? If you're joining us here, whether you're on YouTube or Instagram, hope you guys are having a good day. NBA free agency is about to start in another 5 minutes. So I'm just going to be doing a live stream talking about the news and everything and just reacting to everything as it happens. Like I mentioned, Draymond Green most likely going to sign with the Warriors, 4 years, 100 mil, and other guys who are rumored to go to some teams like Fred Van Vliet. He's going to most likely decide between the Rockets and the Raptors. The Rockets are offering him some pretty big money in free agency, so that's something that's very interesting between like the Rockets and the Raptors. I know Freddie, me personally as a Raptors fan, I don't necessarily want him back because of the direction our franchise is going in, and I think we are in talks with Gabe Vincent to get a deal. So that's something that'd be pretty interesting if it does work out. Yeah, just about 5 minutes. I'm really interested in the Harden trade. So I made a video yesterday talking about why Harden should actually, the Clippers would be a better fit for Harden and be more of a perfect match. And I think the Heat are allocating all their resources and energy on Dame. So that's also why I think the Clippers, if any team, is a perfect match for the for James Harden. But again, the Clippers have to stay healthy, and they're not guaranteed to make noise, even with James Harden in that big three. Just give me a sec, everyone who's watching on YouTube. I'm just gonna check some like connectivity for my Instagram live. Just give me a sec if you're watching this on YouTube, and I'll be back. Okay, so my thoughts on Fred VanVleet leaving the Raptors. I think we are actually in a good position to sign Gabe Vincent, which I think is a better option, both financially, but just both are on the fit of our team. He doesn't. He's more of a better player to fit the Raptor system, and as good of a player Fred VanVleet is, I just don't see him fitting well like how he has already with Freddie, OG, Pascal. I mean, not Freddie, with OG, Pascal, Scotty Barnes. Gabe Vincent would be a cool fit. We drafted Grady Dick. Like, I think our 3 point shooting is going to increase and do better. And so while Freddie was our main shooter pretty much for the past uh, couple years, we also got Gary Trent to opt in. And I think it's best for both the franchise and the player if they mutually agree to part ways. And I know as much and as good as Fred VanVleet has been for the Raptors franchise, I think if he does sign with, most likely it's going to be the Rockets. It's going to be a best deal for both him and the Raptors. Okay, just about any minute now, and it's gonna go into full swing in just a sec here. If you guys have been watching the videos on YouTube, thank you so much for all the support. It's been great recently. I had my best period and what's it called? Best like period in the last 2 days in terms of views. My Wizards video did really well. So yeah. Okay, Woj just announced the so it's about to start in a minute. We'll just announce the salary cap and details like that for next year. Any other news? If you guys don't know already, I talked about it a couple times, but Draymond Green is most likely going to sign a 4-year, $100 million deal with the Warriors. Let's talk about Kyrie and James Harden, Kyle Kuzma, Fred VanVleet, guys like that. Okay. Well, it's 6 o'clock now, so everybody, welcome to NBA free agency. We are here at 6 p.m. Eastern. And the deals should start to flood in. So any moment here. All right, free agency has officially started. So let's wait for. Okay, so the Draymond Green deal, like I mentioned, is official. So 4 years, $100 million to return to Golden State. Yeah, it's a player option in year 4 as well. Shams just reported it. Why I like this deal for the Warriors? They're going to keep Draymond Green. They keep that system, and Draymond Green is very important for what the Warriors have done for the past 6, 7 years, where they've been pretty much the best team in the NBA for a majority of those years. And Draymond Green is a big part of that. So they keep him. They also value his loyalty, and although he's an older player, they give him a nice contract. And yeah, Draymond Green returning to the Warriors. Yeah, Steph, Clay, Draymond are staying together. So the Warriors, best scenario for them because Draymond, what's it called? They were saying he's going to go to Portland, teams like that, but he's staying in Golden State. Any other deals? I mean, the Draymond one was reported about 5 minutes before, and I haven't seen any other deals. Like usually at this point, there's going to be some deals flooding in. Like I remember a couple years ago, the Lonzo deal, all the deals would just flood in, but we haven't seen anything as of yet. Oh, let's check Woj. Hold on. Yeah, there literally has not been anything. Let me talk about Chris Duarte getting traded to the Kings. I mean, he has been a pretty good scorer off the bench, but he's just not the most efficient player. He's young, has some potential. The Kings are looking to build off their playoff success. So yeah, good deal. Uh, I still don't see anything else popping up here in terms of deals. Any like I don't see anything. It's free agency usually just starts popping off, but there is nothing as of right now. Hmm. I mean, usually, Woj or Shams would be going crazy by now. I want to talk about Kyrie to the Suns real quick until we actually get another signing. Um, like Kyrie, Suns would be an interesting fit. I mean, look, the Suns already have Beal. They already have Beal, Durant, and Booker, right? And now you add Kyrie. Those are four great offensive guys, and their offense is going to be stacked. And I'm presuming they're going to move on from DeAndre Ayton. But even if they keep Ayton, that's an amazing starting five. But how are they going to work? Number one, for their like for their finances in the future, like because this is going to be a bunch of money with just Beal, Durant, and Booker. They're already 130 mil, and the salary cap limit is 134. So they're going to be a luxury tax team next year, and pretty much for like the more you pay over the luxury in the NBA, what happens is the more you also have to pay, like you pretty much pay double for every single dollar you pay above the luxury. So do they really have the finances to make that type of decision? Bring over a guy like Kyrie. Okay, cool. Some days are coming in. Um, Karis LeVert agreed on a new 2-year, $32 million extension or contract with the Cavs. Last year, he was pretty good for them. I know he featured off the bench, career high 3 pointers, made 40% practically from three. Drew Eubanks or Eubanks, I don't know how to pronounce the name. We got a 2-year deal with the Phoenix Suns. Solid player, bench player. Again, similar guy. Player option in the second season. Trey Lyles signs with the Kings. I mean, yeah, he's been with the Kings. He's a part of that bench. They also got Chris Duarte, I mentioned previously. So yeah, Chris Duarte and Trey Lyles have been their acquisitions so far. But yeah, nothing major. Yeah, Drew Orbanks. Yeah, I don't. Okay, so we get Kobe White, restricted free agent. Kobe White has agreed to sign a 3-year, $33 million contract deal to return to the Chicago Bulls. Now, Kobe White, out of UNC, he's been all right for the Bulls. He's had his ups, he's had his downs. He's had games where he's been amazing. Yeah, he's had part of his rookie year where he wasn't so good. I mean, he's just a solid player for the Bulls. Um, I didn't imagine the Bulls letting him walk. I imagined them like signing a deal with him. And 3-year, 33 is a good deal in today's NBA. Getting a player of Kobe White's caliber off the bench for 11 million is a good deal. And 3 years, not too long as well of a commitment for the Bulls. And this is one of the big ones. I'm surprised. Kyle Kuzma has agreed on a 4-year, $102 million deal to return to the Washington Wizards. Wow. It was a career year for Kuzma with the Wizards. I know we talked about Porzingis' underrated season. We talked about Bradley Beal, but Kuzma himself also had a very good season. Many people don't really think about that for the Wizards, but Kuzma agrees on a 4-year, $1 or $2 million deal to return to the Wizards. I think the Wizards actually can be a contender in the NBA in a couple years. Now they have Kuzma, who's a pretty good scorer. He's He's now gone. He's now staying, and then you also drafted Bilal Koulibaly, who I think is a great project, great defender. People compared him a little bit to like OG Anunoby. He can be great, right? Bilal Koulibaly, they have him, and they also obviously what's it called? They have Jordan Poole, who's Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma together is going to be great to watch. So if you're a Wizards fan, happy times, I guess. I mean, even though your team isn't as good, there are going to be some good things to at least watch out for. So Kuzma uh, to the returns to the Wizards. Okay, Bruce Brown of the Denver Nuggets was an integral part of their championship squad. Got like got a really nice like tip in. He was great. He's a great 3-and-D player off the bench. He is signing with the Pacers. Um, I think the Pacers are going to be a good team in the future as well, similar to the Wizards. They have young guys like Benedict Mathurin, Tyrese Halliburton, now Jarris Walker. So those guys they have a good future. Bruce Brown, I don't know. I think it was what 2-year deal. No, I don't know how long the deal is actually. So I'm not sure how much of an impact Bruce Brown is going to have, but Bruce Brown to the what's it called? Bruce Brown to the Indiana Pacers. Anything else from Shams? Tarian Prince, Lakers. He was a guy on the T Wolves bench. I mean, I guess they're just adding old players now. I mean, Tarian Prince is not like anything amazing in terms of uh, a signing, but Tarian Prince is going to the. Tarian Prince is now signing with the Lakers. Going to Shams. Kobe White, we just saw that. Any other like Woj? What has Woj been tweeting recently? Yeah, Kobe White. Okay, so originally it was reported that Kobe White was 3-year 33, now 3-year 40. I think it still is a good deal for Chicago. Kuzma returns. I really didn't expect that, but I think if you're the Wizards, I don't know. Kuzma is still young and he still probably fits the timeline, you could say. Really fit well with Jordan Poole. Well, we have to see, but yeah. Um hmm, any more signings or anything else? Yeah, Drew Oybanks, like I mentioned, uh, going to the Suns. Anything else big? Anything else big? I mean, I'm not seeing anything. DeAndre Jordan resigns with the Nuggets. That's pretty cool. DeAndre Jordan practically did nothing really to impact that team in terms of actually playing the basketball court, but fun player, great guy. He won himself a ring. He gets himself another deal with the Nuggets just to play backup to Jokic. It's got to be the best position to play, back up the best player in the NBA at a position, and he doesn't get injured often either. And when you come in, you just be tall and yeah, you just get rebounds and put it back in. So yeah, DeAndre Jordan returning to the Nuggets. I mean, really, the only deals we've seen are Kobe White and yeah, Kobe White and Kyle Kuzma are the only big deals. Okay, maybe this angle is better for my people on Instagram. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about the Joe Harris to Detroit trade because we're really not seeing much here. But Joe Harris to Detroit. The reason Detroit would actually do that, and the reason Detroit would do that is because they're taking on his salary, and I know the Nets want to get rid of his salary, but by taking on his salary, they also get that the picks. Like I think it was like 2 or 3 second round picks, and I guess Detroit. I mean, picks are good for any type of rebuilding team. Any picks that you can amass, you can flip those seconds into a first. But taking on the guy like Joe Harris and just stashing him at the bottom of your bench and then getting a buyout or trading him at the deadline when teams need his services again, similar to a Bogdan Bogdanovic thing they're trying to do. I mean, although or not Boyan Bogdanovic, who's been good, but yeah, Keita Bates-Diop, 2-year, $5 million deal with the Suns. So the Suns are improving their bench. That's pretty much practically their biggest concern. They got Drew Oybanks, and now they have Keita Bates-Diop. My people on Instagram, can you guys hear me? Because I'm not really sure how the audio is working there, but I know for YouTube it's going good. Any new signings? I mean, like there's about 15 minutes in the deadline. It's been pretty quiet. The only big ones, again, Kuzma and what's his name? Kuzma, Kobe White, I guess. Nothing big so far. Uh, any other new signings? All right, everyone on what's it called? YouTube. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm back. Anything else new that we are seeing here? I'm not seeing anything. Hold on. Oh, okay. New Woj bomb. Oh, okay. Damian Lee signed to talk. Sorry. Damian Lee agreed to sign with the Phoenix Suns. Pretty quiet free agency so far. Yeah, Damian Lee, Phoenix Suns. I guess they're just improving their bench. So, oh, it's actually a two-way deal with the player option for Damian Lee. I mean, he's an all right player, I guess, but two-way option makes sense. They're just gonna maximize the amount of spots they can have on their bench and guys they can rely on because bench depth was clearly uh, Phoenix's biggest problem. Dude, this free agency is actually not. I'm surprised there's not even any deals. Like I'd expect. I mean, more Kyrie news, more James Harden news, maybe Fred VanVleet. Like I thought there'd be more by now, but it's all good. I thought there'd be more. I would do like a joint live stream for everyone on Instagram, but because it's also on YouTube, the audio would be messy. That's the only reason. Because I'm doing a live on both YouTube and Instagram. So yeah, it's the only reason I can't like join and talk basketball with anyone who wants to. Taurean Prince, officially 1 year, 4.5 million, for the Lakers. I mean, I guess they're just like it's Taurean Prince, bro. What do you want me to be excited about? Like it's Taurean Prince. There's nothing big. I mean, like he's cool, like, but okay. What the Bruce Brown deal just got reported. 2 years, $45 million for Bruce Brown. That is crazy. 2 years, 45 mil. Bruce Brown was a I'll give him credit, a key player on the Denver Nuggets championship squad. He played great throughout the playoffs, played great 3-and-D. But the Pacers are giving Bruce Brown 2 years and $45 million. What? Like Bruce Brown might not start on championship caliber teams. Like we just saw him. He didn't start on a championship caliber team. Yes, he was really important, but 2 years, 45, where would he even fit in for Indiana? Are you going to pay a guy 20 million a year to sit on your bench? Like I don't get it because you have Tyrese Halliburton, you have Benedict Mathurin. I guess you can make the argument that Benedict Mathurin will be the sixth man, but you have Buddy Hield. Um, I'm not sure if Buddy Hield is like a player option or anything like that, but you have Buddy Hield, who I think might be on the last year's deal next year, and like I just don't get it. Bruce Brown, what is he going to contribute to the type of team you're trying to build? You're not going to be a contender in 2 years. Why are you trying to give a guy like Bruce Brown this much money? That's crazy. And because of the lack of free agents this offseason, because we have to agree it is a weaker class because of the lack of higher talent free agents. It's what's it called? The the amount of money certain players are gonna get is gonna be higher. Like don't be shocked when we see some type of what's it called? Duncan Robinson contracts. Don't be surprised when you see some Duncan Robinson contracts. But yeah, Bruce Brown, 2 years 45 is crazy. I know he's a good player, but that's just a massive overpay from the Pacers. Okay, so when we talk about Dame getting help, they're going to continue to build the squad around him. We saw Jeremy Grant get 5 years. He's just agreed to an extension or deal with the Blazers, where he's getting 5 years, 160 million. What? That's insane. Wait, oh, that's still crazy. That's 32 million a year for Jeremy Grant, and then you have Dame on a super big contract too. You have Dame, Jeremy Grant, Scoot Henderson on. I know Scoot Henderson's gonna want some money in 3-4 years, but still he'll be on his rookie year deal by then. But you have Yusuf Nurkic, you have Shaden Sharp. Like the finances of the Blazers are just weird, especially because now they're in like two different phases. They're in this phase when they're trying to win with a bunch of these guys they're trying to get, but they also have these really good young players like, oh yeah, Simons is, I'm not sure if Simons is an extension, but Simons, his money's gonna kick in. Whether he gets an extension, I'm pretty sure he already got one, so his money's gonna kick in. You have the young guys like Simon, Scoot Henderson, and Shaden Sharp, and then you also have guys like Dame, Jeremy Grant, Yusuf Nurkic. I'm not really sure if the timelines match. I know they were trying to get Pascal Siakam at on draft day or something with pick 3, but they wanted Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby or something like that. A bit of an outlandish trade, so the Raptors did not do it. I'm happy as a Raptors fan. I'm glad they didn't end up doing that trade. So yeah, Jeremy Grant returns to the Blazers, 5 years, 160, 32 mil a year. Wow, that's, like I said, because of the talent in this year's free agency pool, you're gonna see some overpays. And Jeremy Grant is an overpay. I mean, 32 mil is a lot of money per year. That's an overpay. Bruce Brown, 2 years, 45. That's 22.5 mil a year. That's an overpay. But these guys, they're not bad players. I mean, has Jeremy Grant is a good player. He's much better than just a above average player. Like he can score 16, 17, around that many points a game. He can play some good defense. Like he is a good player. But yeah. Okay, Chris Haynes has tweeted that the Boston Celtics and Kristaps Porzingis are expected to finalize a 2-year, around 60 mil extension. So Kristaps was literally going to get less money than Jeremy Grant, which, knowing the Celtics, that's just beautiful business. And the Celtics already have such a good roster constructed. They just fell apart in the playoffs. Now you have Kristaps Porzingis. We we question whether they're going to make a run now, and I think this is probably their best shot because now you have the two centers of Robert Williams and the Kristaps Porzingis. You have that alternating skill set which they can actually use as a good advantage. But yeah, Kristaps 2 years 60 is a pretty good deal. I'd probably say a bargain for the Celtics. And then you have the Blazers signing Jeremy Grant, 5 years, 160. I personally think he's not worth that. But when you're the Blazers and when you're Damian Lillard, you're trying to get any type of help you can. I guess that's just the move. But there were other players and other trades available for you guys to get better help than Jeremy Grant. And signing him to 32 mil for 5 years when you have the finances of Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Shaden Sharp, all to worry about in the next 5 years as well, alongside Dame, because Dame's making a bunch of money. So the Blazers, I'm not really sure. Troy Brown Jr. has agreed to a deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's a solid player off your bench. He got traded from Washington to Chicago a couple years back. Really haven't seen too much of him since, but Troy Brown goes to Minnesota Timberwolves. He's pretty. I don't know how well he's going to contribute to the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are an interesting team because you have Anthony Edwards, who's practically a superstar now. Very underrated, average 26, around 26 points per game, I think, last year. But then you also have the Cat and Rudy Gobert dynamic. And I know the team will be better than last year because last year was just a straight up disappointment. But for what's it called? The fact that they're gonna have more reps, they're gonna have a full off season to work together, Cat and Rudy Gobert. So I think it could work out in this season. But they have a solid squad. But like Mike Conley's on the last year of his deal, Jaden McDaniels, he had a great season. So I mean, they're just not that good of a team to compete in the Western Conference, which is just stacked. So, like, if they're the 6th seed, I can very well see them being a 5 or 6 seed, losing in 6 or 7 in the first round. Like, they can be a good team, but their ceiling is first round exit at this point. They should not be trying to build around Cat, even though you owe Cat 50 plus million. They should be trying to build around Anthony Edwards, the true superstar of that team. But yeah, um, let's see any other news. One that I see. Troy Brown Jr. is the latest news. Hold on, let me just place. Okay. Um, I want to talk about let me see here. James Harden. Obviously, we know he hasn't been as good of a scorer as of late, but he is what's it called? James Harden is still a great playmaker now. He's going to be good. I think a team like the Clippers could actually use him really well because you have Paul George and Kawhi, as long as those guys stay healthy. And then you pair him with a guy like James Harden who can drop a 40-point type game in the playoffs alongside with his like 11 assists per game. It's I think that would work well for the Clippers, but see, I'm just disappointed in the lack of news. Like I just thought this what's it called? Free agency would be a bit more eventful, especially given all the all the news around both Kyrie and James Harden the entire time. Even Fred VanVleet, and I know they said he's going to sit and meet with the Raptors and Rockets and decide, but I have not seen anything yet. Yeah, we're pretty much at 6:30, and I'd say there's maybe like the Kristaps Porzingis that was pretty big. You got Jeremy Grant, pretty big. Kyle Kuzma, I mean that's it, and then Bruce Brown, which is an overpay. Kyle Kuzma, don't know how I feel about that. 25 mil, I think that's reasonable to be honest. Like that's not too bad. It's pretty reasonable for a guy like Kuzma and his value that he'll bring 25 mil compared to other guys in the league. So I consider that reasonable. Porzingis, I think, is a steal for the Celtics. 2 years, 60. I think it's a steal. Okay, there's a new signing. Reggie Jackson has agreed to a 2 year, 10.25 million dollar deal with a player option in the second year to return to the Denver Nuggets. He practically didn't play in the playoffs, but Reggie Jackson, like he was pretty good. He was like a double-digit scorer a couple years ago with the Clippers, but now he's gonna be on the Nuggets bench for the next 1-2 seasons. So we'll see how that goes. I expect him to get more run, especially after the departure of Bruce Brown. We know he can be a good scoring guard, but his playmaking is definitely below what you consider after for a point guard. But yeah, if I know I've mentioned this a couple times, but the deals are gonna be expensive for certain players. We saw with Jeremy Grant, we saw with Bruce Brown. People are going to get overpaid because of the lack of options on the market, and teams would rather make it seem like they're doing something and waste a lot of money and mess up their finances than make the smart operational decision and just not spend. Like, let's say you're the Blazers. Let's be honest, you should have rebuilt it. Like, you should have just traded Dame, and then now you have your franchise point guard in Scoot Henderson, and then you also have a bunch of assets and young players in the return for a Dame deal. But then now the Blazers are making it are making it seem like they're doing something with that trade by getting not trade with that signing by getting Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant, good player, just an incredible overpay in my opinion. Are there any new signings? It's been pretty quiet. I mean, there was a baseball trade. Aroldis Chapman goes to the Rangers, but we're here to talk basketball. Okay, Max Struess is finalizing a deal with the Cavs, 4 years, $64 million. Max Struess, undrafted player, was originally a Celtics and Bulls guy before the Heat picked on him and tapped into his potential, and he's become really good for the Heat, a great contributor. He's come up big in clutch moments. Max Strus really important player of the Heat for the last couple seasons. So 4 year 64. He's a really important guy for the Heat, but now he's going to the Cavs. And the Cavs, they need a more solidified bench players, and Strus will add to that because you have the core of Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, but they did, and now they also re-signed Karis LeVert. And by signing Max Strus, they do have better options off the bench when it comes to shooting because they didn't really have that. They had a lot of good defensive players or a lot of good all right players, but not really shooters. Like Isaac Okoro, for example, isn't the best shooter. 4 year 64. Is that an overpay? Maybe slightly, but for what Max Strus has done, I know you could say it's similar to the Duncan Robinson deal, but in this year's market and for what he's done, it really just goes game by game, or I guess season by season, because there will be games or playoff series where Max Strus is on. And there will be series or games like in the finals, I think first game one, he was 0 for 11 for 3. So there will be moments like that for any shooter of like that when that's his main skill set. He's gonna have good and bad days, right? So yeah, Max Strus, 4 year 64. And it seems like I mentioned, everyone is going to get overpaid because of the lack of options. So I know that's going to be a main complaint from fans and stuff this year, but Javon Carter, 3 years, $20 million deal from the Bulls. He leaves the Bucks. He was one of the better defenders on the Bucks. I know they already have a lot of great defenders like Drew Holiday, Giannis, Brook Lopez, but Javon Carter, a great defender. He also had that one good game this year where he dropped 36 points. He's a good like the Bulls defense. I actually like. You have Caruso. I'm not sure if I'm assuming Pat Bev is there, but I'm not sure if he's a free agent. But you have Caruso. Now you have Javon Carter. Just gonna hold it down, lock it down until Lonzo returns. I made a video on Lonzo recently. The projection for him to return is 24, 25. And 3 years, 20 is not a bad deal. 6 million for a guy like Javon Carter to bring in backup point guard minutes is not the worst deal. I know, yes, it is a little bit of an overpay, but it's not too bad considering the market we're in. I guess we see inflation in about everything nowadays, including NBA free agency market. But yeah, Chicago now they have Pat Bev, Javon Carter, and Caruso. Three great defensive point guards. I guess that's the type. But yeah, Chicago until Lonzo Ball, who's another great defensive point guard. I just don't think the Bulls are going to do anything with this team. Their ceiling is a second round team, maybe even a first round team. I think they're still going to be a play in squad. They haven't really improved. And without a player of Lonzo Ball to kind of just be the main guy who is like the glue of the team, who makes everything happen, they're not going to go far. Like you can have the scoring abilities of Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, and then you can have Nikola Vucevic, who signed to a 3 year, $60 million deal, and then put him around a bunch of like role players like and some young guys like Kobe White, Ayo Desumno, and then you can also have and then Patrick Williams, but then you can also have guys like Caruso, Javon Carter, Pat Bev. Like on paper, this team looks good. If Patrick Williams takes that next step in development, this team could be good. But I just don't see it happening. And with the competitiveness of the East, they're gonna have to jump some teams. I mean, not every team who's a playoff team this year is going to be like as good, but there are teams who are young who are on the come up. You got Detroit, Orlando. Like these guys have drafted well for the past couple of years. They've picked good players. They're young. They're ready to they're ready to do something, and those teams might want to beat you and like we've seen what's it called Detroit. I really like Orlando. Orlando's core is really nice, and I know they're most likely going to trade Cole Anthony or Cole Anthony and or Cole Anthony or Markel Fultz. We'll see if they do that. But I like their draft: Anthony Black, Jet Howard. But then you also have Paulo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr. Like I really like the team. Jalen Suggs is a pretty good defender and still has some good potential to be a good role player, consistent role player for this team. So yeah. I've been streaming for about 45 minutes on YouTube, which is pretty cool. Any more deals that we're seeing? Let me talk about Fred VanVleet to the Rockets. Because there are a lot of sources reporting that that will happen practically any time now, even though he does still want to meet with the Raptors. But let's talk about VanVleet to the Rockets. If you're the Rockets, you already have Amon Thompson, who you just drafted. You have Jalen Green, who's a shooting guard. You have Kevin Porter Jr. Like you have these three guards, right? All young, all who can be great for your franchise and guys you want to keep. And then now you want to sign Fred VanVleet, who's like what, 28, maybe a bit older than that. You want to waste some money of your cap space on Fred VanVleet, and I know he's not the best guy to put your money towards. I know you have a lot of money, but Fred VanVleet, I just don't see the fit at all. What's going to happen to Amon Thompson or Kevin Porter Jr.? I'm assuming are they going to do something where they like start Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green is a shooting guard, and then Amon off the bench, maybe like, and then trade Kevin Porter Jr. He's a pretty solid player. He's going to have some value. So are you going to do that? If you're going to do that, maybe I see an option for you to do that where you trade what's his name, Kevin Porter Jr. and then you sign Fred VanVleet. But Fred VanVleet, they were saying he's going to get 2 years, 80 mil, which is just crazy. But there's also a strong chance that he's going to return to the Raptors for 4 years, 120. I personally don't want him to return. And as much as I like Fred VanVleet as a player, I just don't see the fit. Scotty Barnes is going to develop into a more natural point forward, handling the ball more. And Fred VanVleet, his biggest issue when you watch the games, like, I don't want to be mean, but sometimes he can be a shot chucker. He'll take time off the shot clock. He'll take errant threes. But when he is hitting threes, he will hit them. I'll give him his credit at that. And he has been a good playmaker. Like, he dropped 20 assists in the game, but he's still, like, they're not saying that's the only reason why, but he still has been a good playmaker. But his defense has got worse. He was a pretty good defender, but his defense has got worse, I'll say. His scoring definitely got worse, and it doesn't help that your starting coach is playing every player on your team like 35 to 40 minutes every day, 40 plus some days, most days too. So, like, I know that's how much a star or a good player should play, but the fact that Fred VanVleet is getting a lot of minutes, he got tired a lot. Like, I just don't see the fit in Toronto anymore. There's two different timelines for both those players. And Pascal Siakam has really turned it around and become a great player. And I've always been a big fan of Pascal. So yeah, I think Pascal, OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, and then you have Gary Trent who opted into his deal. People kind of forgot about that, but Gary Trent opted in. So you have those guys, and you also have Grady Dick who you drafted, and then other guys you want to really like Jakob Pertl, a free agent, but other guys you want to develop off the bench, Precious Achua, Chris Boucher, who both get run off the bench. I mean, Precious Achua, I would say had a disappointing season compared to his first year with the Raptors. I really liked his first year, but he wasn't as good last year. His ability to shoot disappeared, and I know he never was really that good of a shooter in the first place, but he did make good progress and became a really good shooter, and then it just disappeared. Or not, I wouldn't say disappeared. It just didn't pan out as much. Anything new? Huh. I'll probably chill in here till about like 7, maybe a bit longer, and then I'll end the stream. But yeah, I might still continue to stream on what's it called, on on Instagram, just talk basketball, but I'll probably exclude that out of the YouTube. It's been about like 7, 8 minutes since we really got a deal, which was a Javon Carter deal ever since I've just been talking basketball. So honestly, what if we just go till 6:45 and end it there? It'll be around an hour worth of a stream. Um, honestly, I will recap all the trades and all the deals. So yeah. To recap, Kyle Kuzma, 4 years, 102 million. I think return back to the Wizards. Good scorer, has really improved. I really like him as a player. I really like him with the Wizards. Not sure how he's gonna fit with the current team. It's his timeline. He's a bit older of a player, but you still need Kyle Kuzma, and then also the fact that you have Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma can both be very good scorers together on that team. So Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, you have both those guys. I know Kyle Kuzma isn't as young as Poole, but he's still going to be a good player. And then you also drafted Bilal Koulibaly, who's the project out of France. I really like him as a player. He was a teammate of Victor Wembanyama, and he's going to be really good if he gets coached and developed properly. That's the big thing with Bilal Koulibaly. If he gets coached and developed properly, he's going to be a good player. And he is going to be a part of the future of the Wizards because he has great defense. He can finish well. If he develops a better handle and a better shot, he can be a problem in the league. Let's see. Is there any news? Okay. There appears to be a signing. George Niang, 3 years, $26 million deal, Cleveland Cavaliers. So the Cleveland Cavaliers now have signed Max Strus and also have signed George Niang. And they pay George Niang like what? Eight to $9 million a year, which I think is fair. George Niang has been thriving on the bench thriving on the bench for the Sixers. He's a pretty good shooter. George Niang going to the Cavs. I mean, they're just building a really good what's it called? A really good bench. So now they've signed Max Strus, they've signed George Niang, and other guys off their bench you can expect maybe like Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro, Lamar Stevens. Like I like the Cavs, especially after losing the first round series against the Knicks. Their main thought process was to build a better, well-rounded team because Donovan Mitchell is not going to be able to score the 40 points every night. And I know he was a great player and he had an amazing first season with Cleveland, but I know that he had a great first season with Cleveland, but they wanted to build a more complete team because Darius Garland also had his woes from game to game. So just less offensive pressure on their backcourt really because Mobley and Allen have it locked up defensively, especially in the paint. But they're not like Mobley is. I wouldn't say he's the best offensive player. He's a lot of potential, a lot of talent. He had a great defensive season. He was a DPOY candidate. Offensively, he isn't as skilled or talented. So adding these shooters off the bench like Max Strus and George Niang will make the team play much better minutes like throughout the whole entire game. They can run more 5-out with the bench. Let's see. Okay, I was just about to end stream, and we have the big one. Kyrie Irving has agreed to a 3-year, $126 million deal to return to the Dallas Mavericks. And I'm going to be honest, this wasn't something I was expecting. And a lot of people were saying Kyrie was going to go to Lakers, Suns. I know he still had a shot to return to Dallas, but the fact that 3 years, 126, that is a lot of money. 3 years, $126 million for Kyrie Irving. Gonna return to Dallas. So him and Luka are gonna have to figure out how to work that one out. And the team was not very successful since they were together. I know injuries were part of that. And I know not having a stable big man was another part of that. Not having as much stable defensive help. Like Christian Wood was a big liability on defense, regardless of how much he provided on offense. He just couldn't get it done when guarding the other team's forwards. But Kyrie Irving, 3 years, $126 million. I know the defense of him and Luka together, that's going to be questioned. I know the fit again is going to be questioned because we saw it for about like 10, 11 games, right? But these guys are going to work together. And I know Kyrie Irving can have the tendency to be a bit selfish at times, but if him and Luka learn how to work together, they can be a deadly duo. I think now if you're Dallas, if you have to fill this roster up, you don't have as much cap space, but you have to try to make trades, fill this roster up with number one, better big men and guys who can rebound. Number two, some 3-and-D wings, because you lost that when you traded away Dorian Finney-Smith. He was one of the better players on your team. But yeah, Jaden Hardy, I think, is going to take a big leap. Same with Josh Green. I know the addition of or like the return of Kyrie Irving is going to potentially block Jaden Hardy for as many minutes as he potentially deserves, but it's Jaden Hardy is special. He had a great run with the team last year after being drafted with the 37th pick. I know he was good in high school. He didn't have as good of a season with the G League Ignite playing against pros, but he was special off their bench. Josh Green, a great 3-and-D player. So the Mavericks, if they figure out how to surround Luka and Kyrie with better role players, better big men, better 3-and-D players, they can make it work. Kyrie Irving, that's crazy. Kyrie to the Mavs, 3 years, 126. And the coolest thing is that his sister is actually his agent. So she now becomes the first African American woman to negotiate and complete an NBA contract. So shout out to Kyrie's sister. But yeah, Kyrie, 3 years, 126. If you want the money on it, that's 42 mil a year. 42 mil a year for Kyrie for 3 years. And I think you could say that's appropriate. Kyrie did say he wanted to finish his career off with one team. Is that going to be Dallas? We don't know. He still has years left, Kyrie. Well, depends on if he wants to retire or not, because that's obviously been that's obviously been a topic of discussion with all his other issues. But 3 years, 126. I wouldn't say it's an overpay, because if you can figure out how to get those two guys to work together, it's going to be special. Kyrie, one of the best shot creators, one of the best dribblers, just such a special talent that we've seen. And then now you have Luka, a generational talent who came into the league and took the league by storm. He's been phenomenal all 5-6 years he's been in the league. So Chris Middleton has returned to the Bucks. 3 years, 102 mil. So Chris Middleton gets 34 mil a year. He's staying with the Bucks. I think if you're Chris Middleton, this was the best scenario. I think he had Chris Middleton staying with the Bucks. I think it's the best scenario because you now have Giannis, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. You're able to run it back. I think now your number one priority is to get Brook Lopez back. Brook Lopez might walk, but I think if they get him back, they have a good shot. Because if you guys don't remember, Milwaukee dominated the regular season. They ran into some injury luck. I mean, some unlucky injuries, and also some poor play from Giannis in the fourth quarter for those last couple of games. But other than that, they're a phenomenal team. And Chris Middleton was injured for a good amount of the season last year. And when he came back, he never was fully himself. So now you have a year removed from that injury. Chris Middleton's returning alongside Giannis, who right now he has a knee injury or something. He's not playing in the FIBA World Cup. But Giannis, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, this team is going to try for ring number 2. They have it in them. They're a great regular season team, and we've seen them translate that to the playoffs. They just couldn't do it against Miami because of a lot of reasons. And I'm not making any excuses, but yeah. Okay, this one's for my favorite team, the Toronto Raptors. 4-year, 80 mil to stay. 20 mil for a center of his defensive caliber. We saw as soon as the Raptors got Jakob Poeltl, their defensive numbers went up. He was able to grab a bunch of rebounds. Yeah, he was great defensively. Yes, you can question the fit, and yes, you can question now the lack to be a 5-out team like many teams are in the NBA. He's one of the more traditional big men you see in our NBA today. So, yeah, one of the more traditional big men. So, Jakob Poeltl, really good defender. I think he's probably worth his money. He came up as a Raptor, got traded in the Kawhi trade, but came back this year when they traded for him, and he was solid. I think with Jakob Poeltl, their defense, I think, in their front court is now really good. Pascal's an above average defender. OG Anunoby is elite at defense, and Jakob Poeltl is also pretty solid. So their front court defense is good. And I know Toronto's biggest problem wasn't even their defense. They were like a top 11, top 10 defense last year. But their biggest problem was their 3-point shooting. And I know potentially losing Fred VanVleet is a big hit with your shooting. But Fred VanVleet was never even the most efficient player. And now you have Grady Dick, who is like I can see him being breaking the rookie record for threes because he shot a high percentage of Kansas with a high volume. So Grady Dick with going to the Raptors was actually a great break. So okay. Cam Johnson, 4 years, 108 million to stay with the Brooklyn Nets. As soon as I was thinking about ending stream for just a couple minutes, we get Kyrie, we get Cam Johnson, we get Jakob Poeltl, we get Chris Middleton, we get all these deals. I'm happy. It's fun. But yeah, Chris Middleton, not Chris Middleton, sorry. Cam Johnson, 4 years, 108. So we're looking at 27 mil per year in that contract. He's actually an older player. If you guys didn't know, when he came to the league, he was already like a 23-year-old, 22-year-old, I think 23-year-old rookie because he played a lot of seasons of college basketball, all four, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, Cam Johnson was an older player. So he is a bit older. So he's not as young as many people think. But that core they have there with Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, I like it. Yeah, he was restricted, so there's a high chance that he was going to return to Brooklyn. But that team was special. They didn't slide too much in the standings, but obviously we didn't see them do as well in the playoffs. They lost to the Sixers. They didn't really have an answer. But Mikal Bridges, 4 year with the team, he's going to be phenomenal. Cam Johnson was pretty good with the Nets. He's going to bring some 3-and-D. He can also himself be a great scorer if given the opportunity, and I think Brooklyn is the perfect place to make that happen. We'll just wait on for some deals at 7. If there's not much, I know I do want to stay on because like for the potential Freddie deal or anything. But if not, I might log off for a little bit at 7 and then return for anyone on YouTube or Instagram. But if there's anything big, if I get like a notification, anything big, I might just hop back on. Um, Talking about Kyrie, 3 years, 26. I will say I'm a little surprised it's only 3 years because how Kyrie talked. He said he wanted to sign with a team. I think he said in the West. I'm not sure, but he said he wanted to sign with a team in the West, which he'll stay for the rest of his career. 3 years. I know if he did sign like a 5 year deal, the money probably would have got lower like annual average, like the AAV would have been lower, but he would have got a more long term deal and more guaranteed money. And if his main focus was on choosing a team which he stayed for the rest of his career, I think maybe a bigger deal would have been the option, but maybe the Mavs weren't willing to do that. Yeah, speaking of the Nets, I think they are building a nice young core. Um, Big players still left. Not a free agent, but James Harden could possibly get traded. And then you have Brook Lopez and you have Fred VanVleet. I think everybody else is pretty much gone unless I'm forgetting some big names. But guys we've seen signed in the last hour: Bruce Brown, Chris Middleton, Cam Johnson, Kyle Kuzma, Kyrie Irving, uh, Draymond Green, who's like right as soon as at 6 o'clock. Everyone was talking about the Draymond Green deal a couple minutes before, but Draymond Green signed with the Warriors. Any other guys? I'm definitely forgetting. I mean, Chris Middleton, Jakob Poeltl, Jakob Poeltl. There's been a bunch of signings. George, the smaller guys like also like George Niang, Max Struess. Um, I don't think the Max Struess one is official, like official in terms of Shams Woj or Chris Haynes, but I saw it from Legion Hoops, which is a pretty valid source. Chizeme Metu, 1 year, 21, no, 1 year deal. Suns. Chizeme Metu, just another bench piece, I guess, for the Suns. Troy Brown got signed. Like I'm just recapping it. And in terms of the Bruce Brown deal, it has implications on the. It does have implications on the Nuggets because they did want to repeat, and I know he is a very important guy to their core. But the reason they didn't sign him to the money he necessarily wanted is because you have Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Jokic all like what 27 or 28 or under, and you also have you have to pay these guys. And if you want to win championships and have like a dynasty and win for the future, the moves that they're gonna make are gonna be drafting really well and signing players to smaller contracts. And when Bruce Brown wants 22 mil a year, I'm not sure you can do that. So yeah, Bruce Brown overpaying. I can see why the Nuggets resisted to sign him because if they signed him to even like a $15 million a year deal, yes, their chances of repeating would have increased, but their future financial situation just would have been terrible. You drafted Christian Braun. I think he's going to be very good. He's going to get, although he did get a really good role, I really liked him. Christian Braun is going to get more minutes and more play time this upcoming season. KCP was a great player, great find in that trade, the Monte Morris trade. So I hit 6:59. I might log off right now. To be honest, it was a pretty fun stream. If you guys watch, whether Instagram, YouTube, subscribe, we're actually pretty close. We're pretty close to getting 1,000 subscribers. So if you did enjoy any of the streams, subscribe and follow. I'll be back soon. If anything breaking happens, like James Harden trade, Fred VanVleet deal, I don't know about Fred VanVleet deal. I might just make a video on it, but James Harden trade, I definitely will be back on here for sure. Hope you guys enjoyed on YouTube. On Instagram, I might still continue to stream. So guys, don't leave. All right. Thank you guys and bye.